It's Wednesday the 6th of May, and this is the a practice for a portrait of my friend. This is my friend Ruth. I'll put a copy of the photograph. She always has cream tea on her birthday, and this is a picture that she sent me from Australia last year of her enjoying her cream tea, and I always thought it was a lovely picture and I'd like to have a go at it. I've drawn it out on some mount board, so that's my original drawing, and I'm going to try a mount board collagraph, so cutting and sticking onto the mount board and varnishing it and seeing what effect I can get there. And I've also stuck a piece of acetate over the drawing and just trace through lightly onto the acetate, so you can just about see, I hope, yeah, you can just see an image there on the acetate, so I'll use that as well for another practicing another method. And at the moment what I'm doing is just trying to practice doing drawings, and as a knock-on from Printfest, practice some of the techniques that I saw there, and decide on what method I'm going to use for my print. So this is my finished plate. It's on mount board. I've made it by cutting away the surface, in some places re-sticking the pieces that I've cut out. I've scored into it, and I've added pieces of silk. That's the main methods I've used, and I've varnished it with 2 coats of PVA loosened with water. Oh, I've also done a bit of collage with some netting, and I've got some piece of lace, which when I've inked up the plate I'm going to print it to get the pattern in, and peel it off and then print it again. So that's my plate, and I'm going to have a go at printing that up this morning and see how that works. So I'm using Aqua Intaglio inks for this, and I've got transparent extender, graphite, ultramarine, a red and a yellow ochre and white, and I'm now going to, with a paintbrush, mix and apply those to my plate. So I've painted up my plate and just mixed my colours and the extender, and I'm just going to print this one off and see what I get. I was going to do some intaglio polishing it off, but I think I'll just print this one, especially because it'll get me the lace imprint, and then see where I go from there. Okay, so it's time for a summing up of what I've been doing this morning. So I've been printing off this collagraph plate that I made, and this is the first print that I got, and I just painted up the plate and just went for it, took a print off. It's very clumsy, but I like the shadows and the shading on the neck, so it's come out all right in places. And I did later go over it with a dry point print just to get some of the features on the face and hands, but that hasn't worked terribly well. But this is probably good for the way the colours have worked out. It is very translucent. I was trying out my new the Aqua Intaglio inks with the translucent base, and that has come out incredibly translucent when I hold it up to the light. Okay, that's that one. This one was second one, a bit heavier painted, and sprinkled some yellow over it just to see what I got. The colours are stronger, but the printing again is not great, and no features have come out. So I cut that into the mount board, and I've varnished it with PVA glue, so that might need looking at. I might need to look at something else. I've just realised handing this print that I've printed on the rough side of the paper, and that would probably come better if I'd done smooth. Okay, and same with this one here, which was a ghost print. So so on those. this was more of the sprinkling. Just sprinkled the ink and ran it over the plate just to see what would happen. It's quite jolly, but you can't see much of the image underneath. When I took the ghost print off, again a bit more, and again this was rubbing down the plate with a sort of intaglio technique. You can see I'm getting worse and worse with my inks and just working with whatever colour I've got left, really, just to see what effect I got, and I also again added dry point onto that to bring the features out. So it's not terribly successful, and these were all printed using my small press, which I don't use very often. Not great with it. I had to go to hand printing ones. They probably come out the best of the lot. So this was again putting ink onto the plate and wiping it with a sort of intaglio effect, but I didn't wipe it very hard, so there's still quite a generous amount of ink on there. So there's some interesting effects, but it's a bit messy, but overall it's got quite a nice sort of batik effect. I'm really pleased with the way that this hand has worked out. I think that's come out nicely. The other one doesn't work so well. It's got potential, that one, but needs a lot more refining to make the image stand out. And also I think the facial features need to really stand out and be more contrasty to get the eye, attract the eye to where you want it in the picture. This again was hand printed. Again, pleased with that hand, with ink applied much more lightly. So it's surprised me where I've got my lights and darks. I was thinking that the areas I cut away would come out darker because they were rough, but because they're lower they've come out lighter. So yeah, I need to work with that, and it's been a really interesting exercise, and it has made me think more about how I could do a collagraph plate. But I'm pleased with the design, and I think the composition is good. It makes a pleasing print, so I'm going to work more on this one to build this one up as a collagraph, a portrait of a friend. So the other plate I had to work with today was my one that's acetate. It's just done a bit of polythene film. It's like the cover off a file, really. So the first one I did of those was on wet paper, and I'm really pleased with the way that's come out. I haven't really done dry point before. I used the point of a compass to do it, and I just was scratching fairly roughly just as a very first attempt to see what I got, but it's come out quite distinctive, and I'll go back and do some more dry point and refine that. I also quite like the idea of combining it with the other prints I did. Didn't get anything so much. This was a ghost print where I'd added the dry points, and these were two that I did at the end of the morning when I just got my plate inked up, and I put the acetate down on the plate to pick up the ink and then printed it onto the paper. This one again, I'd got some soap in the ink there. I was cleaning up, but I just laid the acetate on to see what I got. So they're interesting effects. Nothing that looks finished or that I would present as a final print, but I'm pleased to have done them and to see what I could get, and I think it needs some time to think about them and work on them. What else have I done? Right, yes, I wanted to try some ink stamping. This one I just got a little piece of tube of sponge, and I just dipped it in the ink and was drawing with that, so that's not a true print, that's a drawing. But then I started working onto a glass plate. They're a bit weird, really. Okay. just seeing what I forget, but nothing. There's be nothing too exciting. This was I've got some hydrangea petals that I thought would be really interesting to print from. Just trying those out to see what I got. That was with an ink on the plate, a bit more heavy. It's obviously hadn't stirred it up properly. It's quite oily, and I've got an oily ring around the edge. But again, just seeing what effect I could get with the ink sticking on the plate. This is better. It's ghost print, just working on the ink on the glass plate. That was a self-portrait. I was looking in a mirror to try and do that. And this one again worked on a glass plate, drawing a self-portrait. But this is heavier paper and it was wet. So when I laid it on, it's all run. But actually, I like this, and it's one of my favourite prints of the morning. So even though it no longer looks anything like me, apart from it's got a head. Okay, that's that one. And then the final thing I did was I was trying to get this after this Chagall portrait that I liked with the rolling effect. So I just worked on a piece of mount board, just rolling the mount board and then printing it, rolling it, printing it, rolling it, printing it, and using masks as well to leave areas free. So built that print up over it was about 5 different applications and masks. So again, it doesn't look anything, and it was really rough. I was just cropping into bits of paper and tearing out shapes. It was very carelessly done, but there's some really interesting effects in there. And although it wasn't intended, well, I was actually working on sort of plants and shapes, but you've almost got lips and a nose and an eye socket there with the light and shade. So with careful planning, I think this could be a really effective method of working. This was using some of my masks, inking them up, putting them down, turning them over, and printing through. And again, I think that's got some interesting, useful effects. And you just get this white line effect just by the thickness of the paper of the mask as it's laid down. This effect left as it's I'd had it laid down while I was rolling over it, and then lifted it up. So and then a plain mask on top. And this again was using the inked up masks and just laying them down onto the piece of paper and printing. This one was actually upside down, but so this is the mouth and the chin, but actually even upside down it just made quite an interesting shape. So that's got potential for working on, and I'll carry on thinking about how I might be able to use that.